Nostalgia. This is Josh, and I'm here with my co-host Jacob and Ryan. How are you two doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Good. Really, really good. We are back and we're playing with power.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's like you should have done the intro, Ryan, or something.
I don't know about that, but oh yeah, I'm so excited.
I totally know what I'm doing.
Yeah, clearly.
I haven't listened to over 100 episodes and been a part of them. I should totally know how this goes by this point in time.
It's okay. We'll give you some Monday. Get a little bit of slack, right?
Yeah.
Boy, is it a Monday?
Yes, it has
I
been.
actually had a good Monday. I did. I had a good Monday. And
Is that possible?
yeah, when you don't have a job, it's possible.
I guess so. Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, my job does not allow for a good day. So maybe after the fact, when it's over.
You better hope that like your boss doesn't listen to this podcast.
It's all good. I think they know how I feel. Anyway, moving on. Before I really do get myself in trouble. Let's go ahead, and before we jump into the focus today, the game for today, because it's kind of a short one. It is an interesting one, but there's not a whole lot to it, so I figure the episode won't be super long. We'll go ahead and jump into what we are Radical Rexing about. All right, so hey, this is actually, I feel like we've had a guest on here a lot lately. I guess I will go ahead and throw it to Jacob first.
Thanks. What am I Radical Rexing about? Well, I've been working on a new song. This is the first song I written since like last. I tried to write a song last December in the midst of like right at the start of my divorce. So I actually had something good going, but I'm just gonna pitch it. It's tied to bad memories. So, but if the song I wrote before that was like a song I tried to write like Metroid Prime and stuff, and it was really good. It was like a snow level, and but this is the first song I've written since then, and it's coming along great. I've kind of written it in like two separate parts. Right apart, and then just kind of brainstorm and where do I want it to go and add to it, erase stuff, make some edits, and then I need to write a third part to it, so I gotta keep finish it out here. But I'm enjoying it. It's pretty. It's beautiful. So that's coming along. Today I started full time at my CrossFit gym, so getting rid of that in and getting on a new nutrition plan. Just jumping back in the deep end of I kind of relaxed the month of July and just ate whatever I wanted and didn't work out nearly as much like I was in May and June. But I definitely am hitting the ground running, and I am all about it. So really stoked. I'd like to get my body fat down to like between 10 and 15% by my birthday, and I really would like to try to get to 10% by Christmas. That's like my goal. I've never been to 10% ever, so I'm going to try to get there, which would be amazing. But
that sounds intense.
It will. I mean, make it part of your lifestyle. Won't be too hard. The workouts, I welcome them. What I'm liking about CrossFit is that it's really the workouts are very intense. But not only physically, it's like really good. Like mentally, it like mentally makes you tougher and push through stuff. And I welcome it. So I mean, it's really funny. Like these type of workouts back when I was in high school and football, and like I was just really overweight. I would have hated stuff like this and really dreaded it, and now it's like the harder the workout the better. I mean, whatever makes me breathe harder and push me, I thrive off that now. So I love that. And and I got paid today unexpectedly a lot more than I thought, and that was was great. So that was good. And then I jumped right into my college for the week, and I've already gotten over half of my stuff done. So I was really proud of myself. I'm a big procrastinator, and normally I'm pushing stuff off, but I just jumped right in and did all that today, and then I'll continue to keep working on stuff. But next week I actually start a full-time job at McAllister's Deli and up here. And
Radical.
to just get back on I'm glad to be back on the track of just doing something. Like, no, I don't like to work in the food industry, and every time I go there, I swear off that I'll never work there at a food place again. But here we go again. Whatever. By this time, I'm working with incentive. I'm working to take over a role that has bigger upside, more responsibility. I'm not just going to go there and bust tables down. It's not what I mean. I'll start off doing little things like that, but it's not my focus. I'm focusing and becoming like a catering coordinator, which will have a big pay increase, and it'll be what I need for the season of life until I'm done with my college degree, which will be next summer. So that's just what I'm radical Rexing about. I bought season 8 of Dragon Ball Super, and I ended up marathoning it all yesterday evening, which just got me, just super pumped and reminded me why I love Dragon Ball so much and love Goku, and just made me really influenced. I mean, Goku, I've said on the show before, like, I have a real emotional connection to that show, just from a nostalgia standpoint and from different parts of my life. And Goku really is like my own. People talk about their favorite superheroes. Goku really is like my top superhero. He's better than any superhero that's ever existed, in my opinion. And he's just pure of heart, and he perseveres, and he is humble, and he loves to take on the best of the best, and he loves to never give up. But yeah, at the same time, like I said, he's like pure good. He like wants to help everybody and save everybody. So it always inspires me in my own life with everything I'm trying to do. And so I love Dragon Ball, and I love Goku. He's a beast. So that's what I'm radical Rexing about.
I don't think it's any coincidence that you rock out Goku and also are a big fan of Smallville and things like that.
Oh yeah, so, for sure.
Yeah, you definitely have those people to look up to, those super strong, take on anything people.
Yeah, morally high people too. They have very strong morals, which is something I identify with and struggle with. Like I feel like sometimes I've even had the thoughts of like, because my morals, I try to live by such a moral code, I feel like I make life harder on myself sometimes and in decisions or things I do. But I gotta, I do believe that we are called to live not of this world and the way Christ calls us to. So I try my best. Not perfect at all, trust me. But I try my best.
Cool. Well, what I've been racking about, it's what's coming. This coming up week on Friday, I'll be working on site at the kennel again for a week or two while people are gone on vacation. So I'll be chilling at my parents' house. They've got terrible internet, so I will be kind of doing like my Switch stuff, no streaming. I'll just be like kind of disconnected from things for the most part. I'll be listening to a book called What Color Is Your Parachute? I think it is. It's just basically, it was recommended to me to help me figure out where I want to go next. At the end of the year, I'll be leaving the kennel and going on to another job, and I just need to figure out where I want to go and what I'm going to do. And I was recommended this book, so I'm going to be listening to that book while I'm spending my time there. And then when I come back after that work period, I'll be quarantining for 2 weeks upstairs, doing pretty much nothing much, just being really careful for 2 weeks just to make sure I don't have anything, because I am going to be working with people. I'm a bit scared about that, but also I'm excited for this opportunity to just kind of get away, get out of the house, and really spend time, and just kind of game a little bit, also just improve myself. I'm really looking forward to that. At the same time, in a couple days, the Umbrella Academy Season 2 is coming out, and so I'm going to be enjoying that thoroughly. And then also Sentinels of Freedom video game is coming to Switch. I'm definitely going to be playing that one. Cannot wait. So yeah, those are some things that I'm really, really excited about. My mother-in-law just left. She was in town. We did a lot of yard work and a lot of like improvements around the outside because she's not really able to come in because of quarantine and everything. But she still wanted to come and say hi. And my sister-in-law want to hang out with my spouse. So that all went really well, actually. And she left us a bunch of projects to work on. So I've got a lot to do this week before I leave. But it should be good. I'm definitely gonna find time to stream and stuff. I plan on streaming tomorrow night and what have you. So I've been pretty productive lately. I'm tired. My body's sore and achy, but it was good. Did a lot of sweating, so hopefully losing some weight there. Hopefully. And then I think that just about does it. Other than I did do the Pokemon Go Fest this weekend. Intermittently with visits from my mother-in-law. So that was fun. I caught some shinies and got a Shadow Mewtwo, which was pretty cool. I got a shiny Giratina. I was really excited about that. I did miss out on the other form of Giratina, the one that looks kind of like a snake, and then I also missed out on Dialga, but I'm sure they'll come around again and I can catch those. But yeah, I had a pretty productive weekend. I didn't get very far experience-wise. I think I'm maybe just a little bit over halfway on level 26 or 25, something like that. So, I'm sorry, 30, 35, 36, somewhere in there. So, slowly making my way through. Just kind of enjoying playing Pokemon Go casually, and it was awesome. So Draco actually got back on the game, and we all kind of played together. It's really cool to be able to play from home now, not have to go certain places and do certain things. Like you can just play right from your living room, and that makes it a lot more accessible for someone who's in a wheelchair and everything. So it looks like tomorrow or the next day we'll be getting the wheelchair, the electric wheelchair for Draco. So he'll be a lot more mobile, and we'll be able to take Goober, our dog, on the walks, and we'll be able to go places together again. There's a really cool place in Irvington. It's got a bat house. I'd like to go there some evening and hang out and watch the bats. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, we're weird, but romantic too. Josh, what are you radicalexing about?
Well, this week, let's see, where do I start? So we've had another, just busy weekend. We both come from split families, so we have a lot going on from all different angles with that. So we've been outside a lot, and I enjoy that. I like the summertime. My wife doesn't, but I like it. Heat's cool with me. So we've been working on some things, even outside ourselves a little bit. There's a lot that we need to do around here. In the back of my mind, a lot of it is, I guess, to keep myself going. I'm just trying to remind myself, hey, this is all so we can get out of here one day. Don't know to where, but that's the ultimate goal in my head. I guess to tie into that, that's, partially, I guess part of the reason I would like to leave is so I can get, that job I have been chasing, not knowing completely what it is yet, but, just something I have a passion for, something new, because I'm past that burnout point on what I'm currently doing. So just for my own sanity, and living in West Virginia, that's not always an easy thing to do. There's not much here. But I guess to get away from that a little bit, from a gaming standpoint, I actually did something. I had a little bit of eShop credit I'd gotten for my birthday earlier in July. And I noticed there was a lot of sales and things, and I'd actually picked up a decent bit. I did pretty well with what I had, but I picked up something I had seen someone. I forget who it was that recommended it, but I got the Mana Collection, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
For the Switch because it was on a good sale, so I went ahead and picked it up. And I just wanted I wanted something. I'm not always big on RPGs and sitting there and like grinding and things like that. But just kind of what I've seen of that series, or at least of Secret of Mana, and what a little tiny bit I played it on the SNES Mini and everything, I was like, this might actually be good. I was kind of looking for a game like that right now, just kind of what I was feeling. So I've given that a shot, and I've started out with Final Fantasy Adventure, as it's called, without going deep into that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, apparently that's the beginning of that series. Not fantasy,
Yeah.
but Mana. And I've kind of enjoyed it. I mean, it's like an old Game Boy game. It's interesting. It's a lot like a Zelda, pretty much, in a lot of ways. But yeah, so it's a nice little older game that I've been enjoying. Might go through Secret of Mana next and all of that. So that's kind of different for me.
Mhm.
Other than that, I seem to always be playing Assassin's Creed lately, so I've been playing Assassin's Creed Origins now. Kind of gearing up for Valhalla. What
Yeah.
else? Oh, I actually tried out. Not to copy everyone else. Maybe it's just the timing, but I'd like to be able to stream a little bit. Maybe make something out of that. So I played around a little bit with it today. My cousin has an Elgato, whatever that thing's called, and he brought it over and let me use it just to see how it would work on my old kind of cruddy laptop here. And it seemed to work pretty well. I was live streaming on Facebook for about 30 minutes just for the fun of it, just to see what it would do. And my daughter came in here,
Awesome.
and that wasn't part of the plan, but we live streamed us playing the SNES Mini for a little while. She tried out Mario Kart, Star Fox, and she wanted to try out Super Metroid, so I let her do it. So, I mean, that was
Cool.
fun. I mean, like, nobody was on there, but I didn't really expect anybody to be. Um, but yeah, just something I wouldn't mind messing with here in the future soon. Um, I swear I was going to say something else, and my mind is gone blank. Like you all had said, it has been a crazy Monday. Work is relentless. But
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and cut it there, and we will get to the topic at hand here. Uh, of course, today is about a little Game Boy Color game from the late 90s, Conker's Pocket Tales. All right, so I'll actually back up on something I said there. I said Game Boy Color game was a Game Boy Color game, but it was also compatible with the Game Boy. Not every Game Boy Color game, so to speak, was. Um, so, are any of you two really all that familiar with this one? I am, but I wanted to see what you all knew of it before I take the mic the whole time.
I personally have not played it yet. It's something that was really expensive at the time when I saw it in GameStop's game case. It was a long time ago. But at the time, I was just like, I didn't really want to get it. And I also heard it was more of a kid-like game, so it didn't like interest me too much. I am kind of curious though. I've never actually played a Conker game. The only thing I know Conker from is Diddy Kong Racing, but still, good thing to know Conker from. So I think Conker's had a few games, but this was kind of his tamest entry, I would say.
Yeah, this one's a bit of an oddity, really. I really don't think I said that word right. Regardless, um, no, this one came out as sort of a precursor to what was supposed to be Conqueror's 12 Tales, which was also going to be a kid-friendly kind of Banjo Kazooie like kind of game. So this is the one game that's actually a Conquer game outside of Diddy Kong Racing that Conquer was
Yeah.
kid-friendly. After this, it was just
Yeah.
Conquer's Bad Fur Day and its remake. And I figure if Conquer comes back, he's probably still going to have that adult humor sort of thing going.
Mhm.
So yeah, this one's a little strange, and it often gets forgotten. Um, but yeah, it's one of my first Game Boy Color games, and looking back at the date here, I guess it makes sense. It came out in the U.S. on June the 8th, 1999. Funny enough, that's my sister's birthday because the Europe date is July the 2nd, 1999, which is my birthday.
Wow.
Notice that. And I guess it didn't come out in Japan.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Oh.
it's too good.
Yeah, too good for them.
Japan does not get the best of the best. The best of the West, they don't.
Well, I mean, not that this game is bad. I don't know if I would, quite call it that. But
I mean,
you actually had some. But before I jump into it, you had some experience with this game as well, didn't you?
yeah, I have it. Bought it at a disc replay, and I enjoyed it quite often. I mean, from the little, it's just a little gem. I mean, I haven't beaten it or anything, but I enjoyed it for what it was, for what it offers, and it's silly. I mean, I guess we can just kind of dive into it here. Like the villain of the game isn't even what this series gets known for. Like this guy, he's really technically the first villain you ever see in Conker, which normally would be like the staple of a franchise.
Yeah.
Like, K. Rool's the staple of DKC, Bowser, Mother Brain, even in Metroid. Like they're known as like that's the main baddie. This one is not. He gets written off. The evil acorn is the bad guy here, and the plot is about Conker and his girlfriend Barry, who are celebrating a birthday. Barry gets kidnapped by the evil acorn, along with all the presents. It is up to Conker to save his girlfriend and get back the presents. So Evil Acorn just is being mean. He's just a bully, I guess, and he wants to steal the birthday presents. And that's the depths of this game. Yeah, Evil Acorn is not in the next Conker game, which we'll cover one day. But he's not in it, and he's never heard from again. We don't know what ever happened to him after, 1999? 21 years. It's been 21 years since he's been gone. He must have actually died. Or he buried himself in the hole as an acorn. I don't know. So yeah, that's all I know is like I've tried to play the game. It's not really. I think it's very bad. I mean, I couldn't understand it. Even as a kid, I would have been confused. I just don't like it. The music's fun. And I learned from, if you just let my daughter, because I let her run around in this game on my Game Boy Advance SP, and she one time was just playing with it, and she left it open on idle, basically, and then Conker sits down and starts playing a Game Boy, and they start playing DKC music in it, which is really cool. Oh, wow. Little fun Easter egg that I discovered just because my daughter was messing around on the game. So, which I remember Josh was shocked about that. He was like, "What? How did you figure that out?" And I just told him. Really cool. That was cool. But yeah, so this game is the very opposite of Bad Fur Day. It's very child friendly, and it's bad in a different way, if you know what I mean.
Juvenile.
Yeah, and it just isn't a good game. So,
do you think it hit its audience?
No, not at all. I mean, I think this came out. Conker should have had he should have had his home console game first. I really feel like, outside of Kirby, and because I feel like Game Boy was taking on a different role than Pokemon and stuff did, by the time Conker comes out, like we're well deep into a Game Boy lifespan, and I feel like Game Boy games, honestly, were leftover games. They were just ideas that, to me, they were lesser of games. And I grew up on Game Boy for most of my years as a child. Mm-hmm. Like Mario Land is not better than Mario World, or Mario Bros, things like that. I had even Donkey Kong Land. They're not better than DKC, so they just felt like the lesser versions. And so for this game to come out, kind of feels like it started Conker off on the wrong foot, in my opinion, because not that like I would much rather have the actual game have been clean and not rated M for the 64, but this game, the fact that this is what Conker was introduced to outside of Diddy Kong Racing, and this is what we got. This is kind of meh. Didn't really stick the landing. I would have much rather seen a 64 game first, and then they came out with this. Again, they had business decisions, whatever. But
the cartridge itself, I believe, was black. Yeah. If it was black cartridge, it could be played with Game Boy Color or Game Boy. Yeah. If it was the clear, I want to say, is that right? It could only be Game Boy Color?
Right.
And I don't know if that was a hard and fast rule, but that's what I understood it as.
Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this game actually, I think it is 2 different builds entirely for the Game Boy Color and the version that is just for like the Game Boy.
Yeah, there is some differences. I've always played it on the Game Boy Color. Like I got it probably back in '99, back when I got my Game Boy Color, whatever year that was, along with I think Link's Awakening. But yeah, if you plug it into your Game Boy Color, I think the town layout maybe changes a little bit, or the way like the house looks and things like that. For the most part, everything's the same. I know the kind of nothing major, but I know the press start screen is different. Like in the Color one that I'm used to, it's got some pretty music, and it's got these clouds, and it pans down to his house and all of this. But if you put it in a regular Game Boy, it is this giant creepy Conker head with like its eyeballs moving around the screen. So
similar to Mario 64?
Not
like that head of Mario?
Not really. You might have to look it up. He's got these little beady eyes that are just kind of looking around the screen.
Interesting.
But yeah, I started with it back then, and I honestly can't tell you if I've ever beaten it. I can't remember. I know in recent times, I think just last year, I decided to just mess around on it again, and I think I got to almost the end of it within a few hours. Well, not hours straight, but so it's not super long. It's very okay.
Yeah.
Middle of the road game. If you can figure it out, like Jacob was saying, it's a kid's game. Like it's definitely kid friendly, especially from Conker standards. Which, granted, we're only going off of basically 2 games, but it's almost a little bit confusing. But like, there's a little bit of like fetch questy stuff. Like, hey, you're walking around the town, you don't really know what you're doing, but you go up to this little acorn guy, like a nice one, and he's like, hey, you need 10 of this to continue.
Right.
And so you just kind of slowly, piece by piece, find it.
Yeah.
But it's not done in the easiest way. Like you really have no clue where you're going at. It's not always super open. That first world sort of is, I believe, what is that? Willow Woods, I think it is. I actually made a Mario Maker stage named that after that. But yeah, like some of them are kind of open, and there's a map, and you're like, hey, I haven't been over there. Let's go check that out. Then like some later levels, like really narrow, and it tries to focus on the sort of on the platforming, and it's more of a top down. Not, I want to compare it to Zelda, and
it is a little bit
of a sense, but you can jump and things like that. And parts of it starts focusing a lot on platforming, which I don't think they really needed to do. It's just that part of it's very okay.
Yeah.
And also some of the puzzles. Like there's a lot of these block puzzles where you have to, again, kind of Zelda-like, to get through a door, for example, you'll have to put a box on all 5 buttons in the room, but you have to slide them a particular way. And that sort of thing. And I feel like that starts popping up a lot, especially at later parts of the game for whatever reason. So they reuse a few puzzles and things like that. Now, I did get to where I like this game, like in that second or third world. Right in the middle of it, there was some actually decent stuff. Like once you start getting the hang of the flow of things and things like that, once you get through the first world, the second world.
Are you able to save?
Yeah. So, that's actually something else. And the difference is I looked up. I didn't realize this. Because like I said, I've always played it on a collar as far as I remember. But yeah, in the collar version, I believe you can save anywhere. Like I could hit select, I think it was, and just save wherever you're at. But if you put it in a regular Game Boy, there is save places you have to go to save.
Okay.
So I can't speak on how like frequent or anything, but yeah, for whatever reason, it's a little harder to do that if you play it in a regular Game Boy.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
But
interesting.
Like with the second world, I think that one's the desert one. Yeah, it is. there is a little more of a story to it, I guess. Like you go there and you're framed for what was it that happened? Oh yeah, I think you found somebody that had been shot in a kid's game. I'm pretty sure he lives, but they think it was you. It was actually this. Oh crud, I can't remember the guy's name. He's like this skunk that looks a lot like Conker, and I cannot remember his name. Um, but it was actually him, and you get framed for it.
Yeah, I know
And
you're talking about.
yeah, then you kind of have to prove yourself, and you eventually become the deputy, I think it is, or something like that. Um, and there's some fun mini games, and like I said, there is some
Is it
charm.
like Honker the skunk or
Honker,
something?
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like almost exactly the same.
yeah, and there's even like I think there's a shooting mini game, but you also have to fight him in a boss fight, like a shootout, and it's almost like if you play Donkey Kong Country 3, where you have to throw the
Mm.
balls at the target, like it's kind of
Yeah,
a camera angle,
yeah,
and you have to shoot at him over the wall or wherever you're at. So that's all pretty cool. I like that part of the game. And there was like this island I remember, or this beachy area where you had to swim around and find different huts and things. So part of it's actually pretty good. Like I said, once you kind of get the flow of it, it's not so bad. um, I don't think it's always clear with what your goal is supposed to be, but
Hmm.
it's kind of like if you put the time into it, it's only so big of a game that you will eventually come across it.
right,
You really can, like, once you get the flow of it, and especially if you know where you're going, like I believe you can get through this in a few hours. Like I said, I can't
right.
remember when or if I beat it last.
Hmm.
I know just over the span of picking it up and putting it down over a few hours, I think I was in the last world a year or two ago, and I'd played it again.
I wanted to make a note too that Barry's in the game as Conker's girlfriend, and that's the truth. As in Conker's Bad Fur Day, Barry's his girlfriend as well too. But um, her appearance is actually entirely different. Like they just like
Hmm.
basically redid her for Conker's Bad Fur Day. Like it says that she's tall because in Conker she's tall, shaped chipmunk with blonde hair. Um, a blonde hair and a gray fur, and in this game she's red furred, brown haired, and the same size as Conker. However, it could have been because of the limitations of the Game Boy, but I don't know. I mean, it again seems so odd that like she doesn't even resemble herself at all as what she is in the next game.
Yeah, without getting into Bad Fur Day too much now, you can definitely tell. Like when this game came out, it was still intended for those who don't know. 12 Tales was supposed to be the Conquer 64 game,
Yeah,
supposed to be kid friendly. I think we
Yeah.
mentioned that
yeah,
earlier, but and I would have actually I think I have seen it. Some of the beta shots that I've seen in Nintendo
yeah,
Power and things like that. Barry does look how she looks in this game. Um,
yeah. So they just redid her
yeah,
entirely.
for her, she's kind of got this very womanly looking look, which is kind of creepy when it's an animal, but I think it's also supposed to be kind of funny. Um,
You mean like Candy Kong? I
yeah,
mean,
something like that. It really is. It's similar. Think of like how she is in Donkey Kong 64, similar to
I
that.
mean, Barry is hotter than Candy. I'll just say it right
Um, uh, God. Anyway, all right, that's it. I'm done. No.
And that's the end of this episode.
All right, I got to get my thoughts straight. So yeah, I mean, I guess like we were saying before, there's not a whole lot to say about this game itself, just because one, it's pretty short, and it kind of having been through it, it doesn't do a whole lot different. Like once you've played the first hour or two of it, like you've kind of got the gist of the whole game.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
there's a few little things in there, like I said, little mini games and that shootout and things like that that are pretty neat. And it is kind of a happy, nice, kind of charming game, but there's just not a whole lot extra to it. It really feels like it was just made to build up to the 64 game that never came out.
yeah, yeah. I'd agree. Well, I mean, I know if you want it, you can find it on Amazon used for like $14. Or you could go to a local disc replay and probably find it for cheaper, like a local, or wherever you live. I mean, your local retro game stores. They probably have it. I've seen copies of this thing at multiple stores, so I have one, and they're out there. So I mean, it must have sold decent. The fact that I can see that I'm finding them in multiple locations. Yeah, I'm not sure how well it sold, but it must have been okay. So
One thing I forgot to mention, actually, I should have mentioned at the beginning, was the composers on this, because Rare a lot of times used like David Wise and Grant Kirkhope.
yeah,
A couple of them on this were two composers that Rare also used a lot, and I believe maybe both of them are still work with Rare. Um, but it's Evelyn Fisher and Robin Beanland, and they both actually do a whole lot of good work. I don't feel like you hear them brought up quite enough. That I like a
I
lot.
mean, Robin's like their main guy now. Yeah, but Evelyn, I'm pretty sure she retired. She
Did
got
she?
married and retired. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like the main theme with this game. I always liked. I think it's the Willow Woods theme. I like. There's a few of them in here.
Yeah, yeah,
They're real happy and just
they
kind of
do.
listen to every once
I
in a
agree. There are some good tunes with that, for sure.
while. I wish I had
Cool.
pull up the titles of them, but yeah, I at least looked up the soundtrack for it.
I think Robin Beanland even did ended up doing all of the 64 game music.
Yeah, and I believe some of the music actually is even somewhat carried over to there. Granted, more of it was probably going to be in 12 Tales, but yeah,
Right,
I
right,
think some of it's in Bad Fur Day as well. Just not used in the same context by any means whatsoever.
right. Yeah, I feel like what they did overall with Conker, like the direction they took him, just tainted the character and the whole franchise to where, like, essentially, I mean, I don't feel like Nintendo would have ever wanted to use Conker again, just of what he was tied to, you know? Like, people say Conker and Smash. I really don't think Conker would be in Smash. Yeah, I like a character like Conker is different to me than Bayonetta. Bayonetta's rated M for mature. She's very sexualized if you played her games. There's a difference. Like Nintendo is family friendly, and Nintendo is very kiddie. And Conker portrays himself as like, look at me, kids. Like it looks like a kid game, but it's absolutely not a kid game. So I really think Nintendo really kind of hated what Rare did at the end because that was the end of really at the very tail end of the relationship between Rare and Nintendo before the GameCube days started, and then they got bought out by Microsoft. So yeah, I don't think Conker has a place unless he gets a new game that is like totally chill and rated E, which I don't think would happen. I don't think Nintendo would want to associate Conker very much in their own games anymore.
I'd missed some of what you said there, but looking back, I, you know, I guess judge me if you want, but I'm saying I'm somewhat of a Conker fan, even post everything. But I kind of wonder if that's part of the reason Nintendo didn't full out buy Rare when they did. Was
Because they started going a different direction.
I do have to.
No, yeah, I think I that's kind of like what I was leading to there was that I think Conker Nintendo was very hush hush about that game. Like they didn't really advertise it, they didn't push it. It came out the end of the 64. Conker's Bad Fur Day, and then like even Nintendo, even Rare would like sneak in jokes and like their other Banjo Kazooie games that like inappropriate jokes that Nintendo that they snuck by Nintendo and it got later shown when it was out in the public eye. Like I do feel like Nintendo was getting annoyed with some of that stuff. This is just I have no inside information. Right. This is just me talking. But I can see Nintendo getting annoyed with that. And I mean, that they take, we talk about high morals. Nintendo takes their moral ground of child family friendly first and foremost. And I can totally see that being a reason why they were not as apt to just purchase Rare from the get-go when that whole buyout happened.
But. Yeah.
So what you're saying is you're not going to want to be on the episode when we do the Conker one, the Bad Fur Day episode.
I'll be on it. I mean, I know I had my history with Conker is I had a friend who had the game and I watched him play it. I never owned it, and I only played a little bit of it, but yeah, that was kind of like, ooh, don't tell my mom I'm watching this type of thing, But That was way back in like elementary school days. So, but besides all that, Ryan, I really think you should do our due diligence. We took this out to 40 minutes. I'm actually impressed.
We did. We rung this one
Very
dry
nice.
for that little Game Boy game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I'll go ahead and wrap us up. You can find us on our home at thenintendovillage.com/Nintendo Nostalgia. You can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. You can find us on Facebook at Nintendo NOS, on our Twitter at Nintendo_NOS, on our Instagram at Nintendo NOSIN, and you can shoot us an email at NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com. You can also give us a call on our hotline, share your memories, and show us some love at 317-969-5690. Guys, that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next week. Later, Preston.
Bye.
Bye.